everybody, welcome to Arts Quest. I'm Todd V.
David Kettlewell.
And we're on another quest for the arts here in Northeast Ohio. In this month's episode, we're going to go out and check out James Vaughan, photographer extraordinaire.
Absolutely one of the best photographers in America right here in Northeastern Ohio. And our second
segment, Josh Rzepka, bringing classical style jazz with a little bebop up here for the new generation.
An exciting segment because he's actually got a live performance where we interview him in front of the crowd and we hear parts of his brand new album, and he wrote every single piece on the album in our third section today.
Tracy Ameen. Now she's going to bring out something. I've mentioned this to people. They don't even know what I'm saying when I say double wall ceramics. Just put that in the back of your brain. When you see it, you'll get it. It's some cool stuff in ancient art form.
Arts Quest, on a hunt for the best arts in
Northeast Ohio. So let's go out and meet James Vaughan.
All right.
To me, light tells the entire story. It's the who, what, when, where, how of the image. So a lot of what we see, our mind interprets and puts together into a story.
Hi everybody, this is Todd V. I'm sitting here with James Vaughan, one of the top photo illustrators in the country. He's right here in your own backyard. He's actually worked with celebrities such as Cindy Crawford and Chris Farley, and has a really cool business going on in a studio right in his own home. So, James, photo illustrator, what does that mean?
Well, it's a modern term. It really has come about, I think, chiefly because of digital photography and the fact that photography has now become more and more like illustration, like painting, where I'm taking different elements and assembling them together on a computer in Photoshop. A lot of it is CG computer generated. We're still working from the basic photographic image recorded with a regular kind of camera, still photographic camera. But there's so much control now, which is something I always kind of look forward to, because I've always thought of photography as being more like an illustration medium.
So it's beyond just the old-fashioned airbrushing?
Oh yeah, it definitely isn't that. It isn't retouching as we think about it. I was involved in a lot of the early special effects works in photography, and doing multiple exposures and turning off all the lights in the dark in the studio, and doing flashing and different things. Now all that can be done with a computer, combining several different images together. A lot of times now I'll shoot a model and maybe I'll use this part of that pose and this face and that hair. But it's all the same thing, because it's not really photography as journalism or reportage. It's photography as illustration.
Tell me how you feel about digital versus film.
Well, I mean, digital is it. There's no going back, and digital really is as good or better than film at this point.
Oh, that's almost heresy to say that.
Well, I mean, I've worked in both, and I started off almost 40 years ago, and have been through all the stuff, and I waited until I really felt that digital was going to be as good or better than film, and it is.
We were just in your studio. Actually, one of our correspondents, Aaron, did a photo shoot with you.
Right.
Not that we're endorsing that James is any kind of glamour shots photographer. It's a professional photographer. He primarily working with celebrities, actors,
fashion, advertising.
That is a pretty impressive installation for the backyard.
Yes.
That does not look like the normal garage studio.
Right. Tore down the garage, built up a big studio back there.
And how do you feel about having that right here at your home? Is that get in the way sometimes, or?
Oh no, I mean I have pretty much always lived where I worked. I mean, in Chicago, when I was there, I lived in a loft space, so I was living in my studio. This way I have about a 20-foot commute back and forth. But the house really is the support facility. I mean, that's where the computers are and all the resources and props. It works out fine. It's great.
So this actually works like your office space where you also prep people for the shoot,
right,
things like that.
Right, do business and stuff like that. And in the back is my secret laboratory that everybody, nobody knows I'm here.
It's some pretty impressive stuff. Now, again, as we were talking in the studio, you're making some changes in that realm as well, as far as lighting. You've gotten into some of the more modern lighting mixed with some of the old. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I mean, one of the biggest things that happened was when we went to digital, because the cameras are more light sensitive, it increased the amount of light we had to work with right off the bat. Same equipment, you got 3 times more light. And in photography, that's the whole deal, is lighting. The word photography means to write with light. So that's always been my main focus and interest as a photographer, is what I can do with light, how I can modify it. In the beginning of photography, they were pretty much imitating natural light. In fact, before photography began in 1824, so they really didn't have artificial light back then. They worked in big places that looked like greenhouses, practically. Today, we've got such command and control over light, we can create completely artificial kinds of light that we don't see in nature, so it has a more futuristic kind of feel. We can now move in and change time, incorporate blurs and multiple exposures and things like that.
Yeah, the lighting, as people are seeing right now, and some of the images we have on the screen, really dramatic in your photography. It creates just an entirely different feel than like a school picture or a classic corporate photo.
Right, right.
Now, you also, as we mentioned in the beginning, have worked with celebrities. How does a young photographer make that leap? How does someone get into that business?
Well, you have to be very good, try really hard, put all your effort and energy into it, and then just keep shooting, keep looking for opportunities. I think. I mean, I was lucky and helped by the fact I was in a large city. I grew up here in Ohio, and then I moved to Chicago when I was about 18 to go to college. I majored in photojournalism, and then sort of fell into doing the studio work. But because I was in a large city, there was more opportunity. I was photographing a lot of actors and actresses doing their headshots. I think sometimes those people I worked with when they were unknown more than anything, and I just happened to be lucky to work with them, and then became famous, and they never sent me postcards or anything. But right.
Tell us a little bit about how we can see more of your work. Do you do strictly private shoots, or do you do art installations as well?
I'm hoping to have some shows soon.
Okay.
I'm trying to expand my web presence, as they say. I've got a website. I've got a couple blogs. I've got work on Flickr, which is a great site.
Okay.
So all those people can visit to look at the pictures. That's one of the neat things about digital, is that the whole world can look at my pictures if they know where to go.
Your website address is James Vaughan Photo?
James Vaughan Photo. And that's spelled with Vaughan.
Okay. How do you bring up an interesting topic when you're talking about photos on the web. There are so many people that are concerned about digital rights.
Oh, right.
How do you look at that situation? How do you deal with it, knowing that your stuff is out there that can be grabbed and used without your knowledge?
Yeah, that's going to happen. I mean, I went through a lot of worrying about that initially, and trying to figure out cute little techniques or ways to hold on to my pictures and make sure that nobody could steal them. The problem was that all those techniques, all that stuff, ended up degrading the photograph in some way. I mean, lower resolution, smaller image, big watermarks across the front. I also noticed that some of the people who had the worst photography had the biggest watermarks across the front.
Yeah.
And I realized if I wanted people to see the pictures, I was going to have to put them out there.
Okay.
For me, it's a calling. It's what I do. It's what I am. It's everything I've been involved with since I was, a teenager.
It was a fun shoot, right, Dave?
Great photographer.
I mean, it was really cool to actually be in his studio. He has probably the most perfect working environment I can imagine.
That stuff looks like it belongs on Vogue magazine or Time magazine or some major thing. I mean, it's just incredible. And he's a photo illustrator,
right,
separate from a photographer.
That's correct. Well, in our next segment, Dave, you brought us somebody really cool.
I got to tell you, I mean, how exciting for the first album for a trumpet player to be one where he wrote every single piece in the album.
And if you like jazz, this isn't like some crazy outlandish stuff. It's just really good, comfortable jazz.